we continue our knowledge sharing mission, and we're thrilled to have Marcy. Marcy, hello, how are you doing?
Hi.
Great to have you with us. Thank you so much. Awesome. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your current role at EagleView?
Sure. So my name is Marcy Comer. I am based in Austin, Texas. I've been here for about 9 years. I moved here to be number 3 hire at a startup. And that's a little bit of insight into my full career, which is taking risks and going to somewhere new to learn something crazy and experience something crazy that I then take into my next role. So my career spans everything from advertising agencies, B2B at Amazon, B2C at Amazon, startups, early stage startups, to VC backed, to PE backed, and acquisitions. And now I'm at EagleView. We are a mature company, PE backed, and our space is aerial imagery and data. So our bread and butter is that we have a fleet of planes that takes images about 7,000 feet over the earth to get coverage of 94% of the United States. And then from that really high resolution imagery, we extract data. So we are able to sell property intelligence to a variety of different industries. So as a marketer, my challenge is to understand customer pain and express customer value to lots of different customer segments in many different industries.
Wow, that sounds amazing. It sounds so cool, first of all, but also a very, very dynamic environment, as I can only imagine. But before we dive deeper into maybe your current role and challenges you're facing, or some different perspectives on what the future can hold, let's go maybe back in time a little bit more and just how you actually got started in marketing, because I did see you graduated with a degree in marketing from Syracuse, if I'm
That's
correct
correct.
me if I'm wrong. Yeah. So I did a little bit of digging, and if you can maybe tell us a little bit more how you got started, what really interests you in marketing, and why are you here today, where you are?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm going to be real. My inspiration was a TV show. So there was a character in a TV show called Melrose Place that I used to watch when I was a kid, and she was a badass. It's Heather Locklear. And she played this amazing woman leading this advertising agency. And I just thought that was like a really cool career. And it appealed to me because you could make good money while being creative, and the work seemed really fun. So that's really why I went into marketing. And you know what? It is true. Like, I've had all of those experiences and a lot more that maybe aren't always fun. For sure aren't always fun, but I'm a career marketer, got my degree in marketing, and I have been in marketing the entire time. There have been lots of opportunities to move to other functions inside of the companies that I work for. And maybe that was a mistake, but I don't think so. I have enjoyed everything that I've done, and it's so far it's been working out for me. So,
well, that's awesome. And I mean, just to tells you how media can be influential, with the fact that you were inspired by a TV show character, which I can understand a little bit, although I am currently in sales, which has nothing to do with my first inspiration, let's say, and what I really wanted to study, but that's how it came about. So tells you really the power of storytelling and the power of media, which I'm sure you now have a little bit of more insight, even more so how impactful it can be, especially when it comes to the storytelling part in marketing. Now, how do you approach storytelling? As I'm just talking about it, I'm just coming up with this. How do you approach that in your current role?
Yeah, so you see a lot of marketing, especially on the B2B side today, it just doesn't hit the mark. And B2C marketing tends to do a lot better, largely because I think they have larger budgets to hire more skilled storytellers. But there's lessons that you can apply. And the main thing is you got to get their attention and tell a story that's meaningful to the listener or the viewer, not to you, the company. And the mistake that most B2B marketers make is you're talking to yourselves, people at your company, your C-suite, in the vernacular that they understand, and skip all of the details that make the story actually sing. So you have to go into creating a story assuming that they know nothing about you. They don't realize they have a problem. They are at the very, very top of the funnel versus the bottom of the funnel where most B2B marketers start.
Absolutely. But also, to your point, yeah, it is a little bit different than B2C, so B2B. But behind the business, there is the human component, right? So that we have to think about. So behind every business, there's still people. So yes, it is a little bit different, but essentially it does come down to
it should be
that.
The same.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what is your current marketing focus at the moment that you are dealing with, and what are maybe some challenges also that you're facing?
Yeah, so we are known to big industries for aerial imagery and less known for our data products. And we've developed recently some new products that are very different than what we've offered in the past. And so just a little bit is an AI-powered data platform. And so my challenge as a marketer is getting people to be aware that this exists and be aware that it solves challenges that they don't know that they have. So if you think about sort of the age of AI and where you sit in your personal AI journey, you probably have some awareness that there are problems, workflows, things that you do today that AI could solve, but you just have not realized it yet because it's so early. And this is a very similar situation that EagleView is in today, right? So we have this brand new product that really would change how workflows are done in order to create efficiency and growth for our customers. But we have to make them aware that it's available, make them see the value, that it could actually improve their work lives in terms of efficiency and operational costs. And then convince them to give it a try, to give them that mind share, to like listen to the pitch and evaluate it against their needs. And so as a marketer, that's a really hard thing to do. It typically, especially in industries that we serve, there's super long sales cycles. And you have to really distill the message into something that's compelling and then get in the room with them. And so what I find is, we as marketers are doing a pretty good job about making it sort of compelling, but you got to take the immediate next step. So you go back to like Pavlov, right? So you give the dog a treat, give them a reward. And so we have to give them a little bit of a treat in terms of interest and compelling storytelling, and then give them the reward, which is an immediate experience, a wow moment. And that really sort of it enables you as a company to like increase your pipeline efficiency and velocity, which is the name of the game. So right now, all companies are facing sort of this tipping point. You can see that there are some lots of companies, most companies, hopefully at this point, are investing in AI in terms of workflows and product development, but only a fraction will win. So if you as a marketer realize this, your challenge is to help your buyer realize that your product is the winner faster before your competitors. And that's the way that you'll survive.
Absolutely. And I mean, AI is the hot topic in the past couple of years, and it's just growing, and who knows what's coming next, and how, it's going to be challenging to adapt, adjust. Where's the human factor in this? Where's the quality assurance as well? Because still there should be some quality control in that as well. And it sounds like there is a challenge of, maybe not a challenge, but right now what you're working on is really positioning this product, this AI product, faster than anybody else in the market. So how are you doing that? Are you doing that through, large events, large conferences? Are you doing that through small scale events? What's the approach?
Yeah, so we leverage the relationships that we've built inside of these big industries to beg, barter, buy ourselves into a moment of time to show them what we have. So we're in a really great position that we have something that we can actually show them that is it's an amazing product. And so getting that mind share, that time with with our customers, leveraging that existing relationship we have to show them the product is super powerful. And we find that the easiest way to get that time from our key customers is to do it in conjunction with a big event that they're already going to be at. So we are at 53-ish trade shows per year. Most of our customers will attend one of those trade shows. And so finding time to carve off and steal our customers away from the big show into a small room, show them the event, show them the new products, leveraging that relationship and giving them sort of the feeling of, I've got the inside scoop. I'm getting to see it before anybody else. Those are sort of the feelings that translate into what I believe will be long-term success for us.
Absolutely. And what we've seen in the past 10 years that we've been doing events for clients and of course the companies of a similar profile to yours, we've seen a trend where these small scale events have become more relevant and interesting and are really capturing the right kind of audience, right? Because they are more so targeted and positioned in a sense of they're giving you this exclusivity, like you said. So there is a great value in this type of strategy as well in terms of promoting not only your company or product, whatever the goal is, whether it's more visionary type of goal, think tank approach, research, these work really well compared to the trade shows, which are great as well for brand visibility. But there is a huge competition and a rush of so many people being at one place where the quality conversations can be compromised in that regard. So we have seen this increasing trend as well. Now, to go back to maybe the question of a challenge, you did mention it briefly, like what you're working on right now, AI being a hot topic. What do you see? How do you see AI maybe being challenging to marketeers like yourself in the future? And how do you think, what do you think should be the right approach when it comes to AI?
Yeah, there's a couple different angles on this. The first primary challenge is that marketers that are currently employed, I'll just start with those, that cohort of people, don't have the bandwidth maybe to do the experimentation that's required. And so they are going to need to find time in their non-working hours to do this, if that's the issue. Because the reality is that if you're not upskilling rapidly every day, every week using these new tools, you will become irrelevant in a very short period of time in the next year. And already I'm just sort of seeing sort of like a bell curve of adoption and embracing sort of that urgency. And it's very clear to me what will happen because we've seen this happen before. So I have been around long enough that I started pre-Google, okay? So pre-Google, we would do things like make copies and, do outdoor boards and have TV commercials. And there were no paid ads in the way that we know that today. And what happened was, initially some generally young person with lots of earnestness and desire to learn and try new things would take on the new stuff. And so it was kind of like pushed over the new stuff, Google, iBlaster, website, digital marketing was pushed over to this one person. Then it became 2 people. Then it became 3 people. And then eventually those people replaced the old marketers because, they never adopted sort of these new skills. And that is what's going to happen with AI. It's so obvious to me. The people that are not adopting them, not adopting the tools, not constantly upselling beyond AI tools into sort of how business is done today, will go to the wayside and be replaced by people that are embracing this. And the reason is that boards are not looking to hire bigger marketing benches. That's just not going to happen. And if anything, you're going to have less people on the marketing team. And the people that will remain on the marketing team are the people that are being more efficient with their time, which means either embracing AI tools for efficiency or implementing new strategies that perform better. And so if you're not doing those two things in the form of learning and upskilling, you'll be unemployed and needing to find other means of employment.
Definitely. And I think it applies to other roles as well. I mean, even sales where I'm at, it's inevitable that the human cost will definitely be lowered by by new inventions when it comes to AI and what AI can do. But again, the human factor should be included in terms of the quality control. But you are definitely right. If you're not upskilling, if you're not going with the times, you are falling behind. And things are moving at such a rapid pace, even more so than ever, which you kind of answered my question that I wanted to ask you now, which is, what are some opportunities that were not present in the past that are present right now? But I think you kind of answered that in terms of data that's available and all these platforms that we're using, which you said you were doing this job back in the, when
1900s.
Google wasn't. Not really, Marcy. You look great, by the way. I can't really tell, but it's a great perspective that you have in terms of how you got started when you were just copying the papers and doing ads and using, kind of this old school way of promoting a product or a company. While now it's completely different. I mean, everything has shifted to so much more and beyond that. Not only digital marketing, but also you have to be educated in data and collectively looking at the data and strategizing. So I think this can be a really good next question, which is, how do you approach data and creativity in your role? Because as a CMO, you have to see the big picture. As a CMO, you're kind of, putting the puzzle pieces together. So how do you approach all of that?
Yeah. And I mean, just to sort of land the plane on this, it's going to be a little bit confusing, but frankly, creativity is more important than ever. So while upskilling and using AI and using data is mandatory, like none of it's going to work unless you're creative and can tell the story. And, much of the stuff that I did at the very beginning of my career is what helps me do that now. And so having sort of a taste maker on your team that can figure out what's good and what's not good. So, when we talk about quality of AI, it's not just data, it's the words that we use and how we frame the story and how we appeal to humans and pull out that emotion. And frankly, that may be more important in the future. Maybe the AI tools will evolve and they'll become so intuitive that anybody can do them, which is the risk, right? And then what will be important to layer on is that taste and the creativity that makes the AI tools that much more powerful. So, as a marketer, I think in addition to mandating that we all try and experiment with AI tools, I also make sure that everyone is, taking in art. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but for me personally, what I found is the more art that I consume, the more creative I am. And I take time for that in the same way that I take time for upskilling and trying new tools. That may look like reading every day, may look like watching movies, going to see concerts, painting, sculpting, anything that shifts your mind away from looking at a screen per se and doing stuff there to thinking about things differently is a really powerful way to make your work as a marketer that much better.
That's awesome. What is your current art that you're dabbling in?
Well, what I do every year is I have a virtual meeting with my team where we evaluate all of the best picture nominees. And so I give them, you can expense dollars to watch the movies and you can expense your lunch for the day. And then everyone needs to come to the presentation representing one of the movies that you like the best. And so you have, last year, one of the best picture nominees was The Brutalist. And a person on my team came with a PowerPoint presentation on brutalism and why The Brutalist was the best picture. Another person wore a papal hat to represent Conclave. And talked about why he thought that movie was the best. And then what we got out of that was, number one, it kind of pushed people to take in high quality art, but also it had us discussing. I felt like it was a great team bonding exercise, and it was fun. And it just changed sort of the topic from what we normally talk about into something, completely different. But for me, it also helped me see sort of other people's point of view. My favorite, by the way, was Anora. If you haven't seen it, fantastic movie. So we are all currently watching these movies right now. I've got like 3 more that I need to watch before the Oscars, but then I'll watch all of them.
That is awesome. I love that. I'm definitely suggesting this idea to the Ortus Club because, and I do agree, especially there used to be a time where I, for example, would read only self-help books or business-related books. And then I said, okay, enough is enough. There is no creativity. There is no, I don't know, I didn't feel like I was really expanding my viewpoints or really kind of entering other people's perspectives or other people's minds like you can do with fiction or classics, or it can be fantasy. It can be anything, which really gave me the new energy and more, I don't know, I felt more enthusiastic about my days, my life. So I
character development and quality writing, it's a lot. It helps a lot.
It does. It really does. And people say sometimes it's escapism, but some escapism is really
what?
Good because exactly. It's really good. And it can get you more in touch with your own reality more so than you could imagine. So I completely agree with that. Now I digress. Let's get back to marketing.
This is marketing, storytelling.
This is marketing. That's true. Looking back on the past year, what was maybe your most successful event or engagement that you hosted, and why?
We have been thinking about, so last year, literally around this time, we decided we were going to launch what is our new platform, EagleView 1, and we were going to do it in about 8 weeks, and we were going to combine it with a complete corporate rebrand. And anybody who's done either of those things know that they take longer than 8 weeks. And so we did 2 of them and compressed them into, let's call it a third of the time that would be standard time for something like that. And we did it. We did launch those 2 things. We did rebrand the company. I am very happy with the rebrand, very happy with the launch of EagleView 1. What we did have some pitfalls. I mean, like, despite having all of these things, all of the steps, all of the tactics really laid out and really project managed, at the end of the day, the launch event was on a Teams event, and Teams, let's call it, shit the bed. Okay. So our big culminating event, and we had delayed video throughout the big event. And it was, it was really horrible for me as a leader to see all of the fruits of all of thy labor culminate in a terrible event. But, the live event typically is only watched by a fraction of the ultimate viewers. And at the end of the day, the team rallied around, organizationally, cross-functionally rallied around these 2 momentous events. We're able to pull it off with, an extreme limited number of human hours that enabled us to have the rest of the year to drive revenue against those activities. And so I'm extremely proud of EagleView at large for pulling that off. I'm especially proud of our marketing team for pulling that off. I mean, just the rebrand itself, huge effort. There were, we didn't really sleep for 48 hours before the live event, to be honest. So, I mean, it was around the clock. And, now we have this big, beautiful platform in EagleView 1. We have a fully rebranded company that we can be proud of. And it was just not just a highlight of my year, but probably one of my career.
That's awesome. And how many people were involved in the process?
We have 9 people on the marketing team at that time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was, and I'll say, just for the rebrand, and I talk about this with my team now, looking back on it, it might have been a good thing that we had such a compressed timeline. So rebrands in and of itself typically take, 12 to 18 months, several $1 million to complete. We did it for $150,000 in 8 weeks. And
Wow.
and one of the key reasons why it worked so well was because we limited the decision-making committee. So typically what happens is everybody and their dog in the company gets to weigh in, which delays the process exponentially. And someone will come in at the last minute and give some compelling reason why the design, it does not work. And then everyone agrees. And then the marketing team has to start over. We did not allow that. So from the very beginning, we did a listening session. So everyone felt heard. We gathered feedback from them to get their inputs. We spent a longer time on that upfront piece. But then when it came to the design and iteration for the new brand logo, the decision committee was myself and our CEO. And we didn't ask anybody else really what their opinion was.
Nice.
Yeah, and that worked. Now, I think there's probably some companies where that doesn't work, but I have a very solid relationship with my CEO. There's a lot of trust there, and he was able to really sell it to the board. So that's why that process works so well.
That's impressive. That's awesome. And I have a few more questions, and then unfortunately we have to wrap this up. I really enjoyed this conversation, by the way. So for one of my final questions, first part will be, if you can give advice to anybody who's, enthusiastic and ambitious to start in this career, particularly in marketing, and would like to become a CMO one day, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I just posted about this on how, if I was just graduating from school or maybe not and wanted to be in marketing, how I would actually go about and getting a job in marketing. And it's employing the same tools that we do today in order to land customers on the B2B side. So I would start out with a list of the companies that I want to work for. Let's make it less than 25. 25 companies that I want to work for. And then I'd make a list of key hiring people inside of that company. And then what I would do is I would follow them on LinkedIn. I would engage with their content in an extremely thoughtful way, not just this is great, but something more compelling and interesting so that they start to notice you. And then what I would do is I'd hit them up with a DM with a document or a link to a document that gives them exactly the step-by-step thing of how to implement an AI workflow. And so you could do something like creating a competitive watch tool. And I would have built it myself. I would customize it for that hiring manager's company, and I would send it to them. Then you get their attention because you've created something of value. Then you hit them up with, I want to work for you, contract to hire. So hopefully you land a contract job, and then you have to knock it out of the park. So in order to land a full-time role, you're going to have to work harder than everybody else. You're going to have to, do more than is asked of you. And that's not really standard behavior these days, but that's what's going to be required to land a full-time role in a marketing organization today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the detailed strategy also getting through the door, especially when it comes to, a wish list of companies. And that's a great piece of advice. And hopefully whoever is listening will apply this. But for my final question, actually, I want to ask you now, just going back, reflecting on your career, beyond the TV show that inspired you, were there any people, any mentors who truly impacted you in your journey? And what did you learn from them?
Yeah, I'm gonna answer this question the opposite way. There are a lot of people that told me that I couldn't do it. And most people have those people in their lives. And the people that are successful don't listen to them. You have to trust yourself and bet on yourself. So when you decide what you're going to go do, you can tell people what you're going to do, and then you use the fire that you get from when people tell you that it's not possible and you can't do it to go prove them wrong. So I encourage everybody out there to bet on themselves, work their butts off, and prove everybody wrong, and then sit back and tell them what you did. And enjoy the look on their faces when you did prove that.